All right. We clear for lunch. Let's get it. It's Willie and Tasso. We back with what I think might be the final installment of this series, Mental Health Talks. We're talking about identity today. Can you hear me all right? It sounds like I'm kind of weird in this microphone, but we'll see.
I got you. I got you. I can hear
Yeah.
you.
All
Right
right.
on you.
How you doing this week, brother?
Yeah. Feeling, feeling so elevated, bro. And honestly, I just my head's up. No matter what, bro.
That's how we got to move. We got to keep the chin up. Got to. Got to. I would be lying if I said I was super happy today. Like it's not. This ain't my week, bro. I feel like I've been. It's like little things that keep building up. You know what I mean? Like just little things, but then they kind of create this avalanche. Like I was having a bad week already, and then I lost my glasses, and then I can't find my shoes this morning. Like different like little stuff, but it's just like I'm just annoyed. Everything is annoying me about everybody type of thing, and I'm just like, this is probably me. Let me get back to basics. Let me get back to prayer. Let me get back to figuring out what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's always an encouragement when I get to talk to you, just because this is a niche in my day where I'm able to at least express myself and be genuine. You know what I'm saying? Like not have to put on a mask as everybody's gonna be doing tomorrow or doing some whatever stuff with people just to stay in whatever light. But I feel like this is a space where we can just be real with each other. And so I appreciate you. And today, love. Today I wanted to talk about the concept of identity. And I left this one for last because I think it could be potentially the linchpin to everything else. Identity is how we perceive ourselves, or what is our label. And the label that we choose to adopt oftentimes determines kind of how, not just how other people see us, but how we see ourselves. And the way that you see yourself has a direct correlation to the potential that you have in this world, right? To what you can actually do. And there's a lot of people out there that are trying to make you see yourself in a negative light and trying to make you see yourself as something that's less than. And it is up to us to really figure out what the truth is. And so I wanted to start off today with a poem, actually. And this is a pretty popular one, but it's by Marianne Williamson. And it's just a really deep perspective about what we are. And so it goes, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And that just spoke to me today. I was like, I don't know, maybe I was just thinking about Aquila and the Bee or something, but it was one of them poems that I feel like hit me real hard when I first heard it. And it stuck with me because I'm like, yeah, it is true. It's like, as we let our own light shine, we give others permission to do the same. And I like that line in the middle where it says, who are you not to be? It's like we think that we have to make ourselves small so that other people feel good around us. But in reality, that's not the truth. And so I wanted to start off by asking you, what is your truth and how do you perceive yourself? Like, how do you move in this world where people are trying to denigrate and subjugate? And how do you stay on a plane where you are able to stay confident and secure in who you truly are?
That's a deep question.
We started off deep, yo.
Because that's not something that's easy,
I know.
especially when you got an environment that's trying to force feed you every ideology,
Hmm.
every fashion, every piece of content that necessarily is it what you want to create or what you want to see, or is it just the only option? So
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's not easy.
at all.
Just be you, because it's like that's something personally where I stood up and I spoke about it to my teammates in college. You
Hmm.
know, I wanted the identity of our team to be something that can be remembered, something that other people can say, "Hey, that team had a goal in mind. They knew their roles."
They left a mark, right?
And I can only speak from what I've seen personally. Is yeah, it's cool learning from a book, but to say that once you identify what you want out of a group and collective, and you're all on the same goal, to sound cliche, anything is possible, but it
Hmm.
truly is. And so it's
That's
just having
true.
that mindset, bro.
You're kind of talking about that collective identity too, and I think that's
Yeah,
equally
yeah,
important. But I feel like it has to start with the individual in some
most
way,
definitely.
shape, or form. You know, it's like nothing great ever was accomplished anywhere without a group of people who had a singular goal or something in mind that they were aiming at, right? But where does that come from? That comes from usually an individual who was strong enough in their own spirit to then project that vision to the rest of the group in a way that made sense, in a way that allowed them to be a part of that vision, right? That's why we always talk about great speeches, because they have this effect to allow people to ingrain themselves in that vision. Like, I have a dream, right? He was projecting his vision for the nation, for Black people, for not just Black people, but for a world where people would be able to love each other. And that vision was kind of the foundation for a lot of what people think is the goal today. And so, kind of jumping off of that, I think there's a bunch of ways that people can identify themselves, and a bunch of ways that we can label ourselves. And I kind of want to funnel it in, because I think there's three main ones. You can label yourself by job title, and that's the one that a lot of people use. You can label yourself by your biology, and that tends to be one that a lot of people are trying to mess with today. But I wanted to kind of maybe even stay away from those two and focus on this kind of this duality of creator versus consumer, because I think those are the two that everybody kind of falls into. And the way that you identify yourself in that paradigm can often dictate the way that you move in this plane. Because a lot of times, if we think of ourselves as consumers, right, everything we do is geared towards me, 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 me. What can I get? What can I ingest? What can I, right? Like, it's all about trying to fill yourself up. And the culture panders to that nowadays. They want you to be a consumer, because then they're the ones that are making everything. They're the ones that are programming you, right? But I think we need to start shifting that narrative and trying to become more into that creator category. And when we become creators, then it's not as much about us. Even though we may be the vessel through which this creation is happening, we're not necessarily the end result, the end goal. It is just us allowing whatever inspiration has hit us to then be used by other people. And so that idea of becoming a creator as somebody who creates yourself, how was that journey for you in terms of becoming somebody who is able to now say, you know what, maybe, yeah, I can buy clothes and everything, but maybe I want to make my clothes. Like maybe I want to make music instead of just always ingesting what other people are making. Maybe I want to create something. And what was that process like for you? And maybe some advice you could give to somebody who's kind of stuck in that consumer mentality for how they can get out of it.
I got a question back.
Okay.
So how can you create when you're thinking about trying to survive?
Hmm. Hmm. We were talking about that with the evolution when you're stuck in survival mode.
So it goes into identity and mental health. Literally, how can you even sit down and write something when you're fending for your life?
Bro, man,
And
man,
so I congratulate you for even having the time to build, because I'm gonna say again, it's not easy.
yeah, man, you got me percolating on that one because it's a conscious decision, but it also is a reaction in some ways because if we don't have the space, as you said, I think you said this in a couple episodes ago, where your parents gave you the space to dream. And it's that idea where a lot of us just don't have the space. I know personally for a while, even now, sometimes I feel like it's like every day I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. It's tough to even project that far into the future to say, this is what I want to, this is the world I want to create. And so it takes almost a daily recommitment to this idea that, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I don't always win that fight with myself. Sometimes I stay in bed. Sometimes I devolve in a little bit, right? And so it takes that conscious decision. But I think one clue that we have as to what our potential is the fact that we were created by God. We were created in his image. That is the creator, right? That gives us a clue as to what we can be. If the creator, so the original artist, made us in his image, what does that say about us? That we're essentially a copy of the most creative being to have ever existed. That should mean that we have some creative capacity ourselves. And if we don't tap into that, then we can oftentimes fall back into what isn't creative. We got to fly here, chilling. But I think it's just one of these things too, bro. Like if we are able to tap into that reality of, okay, I am a creator, then that changes the way we look at the world. Now the world isn't just all bad things that are happening to us. The world is a canvas that we can project our own truth onto. And when you start thinking that way, it starts, different manifestations start happening.
Subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe if you're still here. And also subscribe to yourself. I'm a big believer in following yourself. One of the main reasons that I don't push myself or my content that much, and I probably should more, but I don't necessarily think that I'm the answer. Like I think about things a lot, which means that I usually have an opinion on a lot of stuff, but that doesn't mean that I'm the go-to. I feel like everybody who's watching this, I feel like you, Willie, especially, we all have the capacity to come to these truths. It just takes us tapping into ourselves, really tapping into God and being in that space of just surrender and being like, okay, what is the truth here? And if I can be used as a conduit for you to get to that place, cool. But I'm not really big on pushing my agenda. Like I'm gonna share it with you because I feel like this is what's true for me. But at the end of the day, I don't want people following me. Jesus changed the world with 12 people, bro. That's it. He ain't have a million folks out here following him on Instagram. He had 12 people that were committed to the cause. Sometimes I feel like that's all I need is a couple people who are real around me. And with that, as you said, you could change the world. How many people are on a basketball team? You got 5 starters and you got what, like 7 people on reserve or something like that. It's not a lot of folks, but you talk to some of them people from the old Lakers teams, the Celtics teams, the Bulls team, they were able to literally change the world. I meet people out here in the UK that got Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, tattoos, hats, merch still to this day from the 90s. You're talking about 5 people who were able to change people's minds now 30, 40 years later. Like, wow. To me, that says a lot about what our potential really is. And if we let people, specifically, we let other people give us our identities, then we are essentially becoming a role in their play. Instead of being the hero of our own story, we become a role in somebody else's story. That's a dangerous place to be.
Hey, and then they get to dress you up. However they want to.
And figuratively.
And so self-identity, that's where I felt like I came in personally with the fashion. I wanted something to resemble me, how I think, what I was displaying. I wanted it to be visually receptive as well. You know, just it just adds a different value. I was looking at trying to become a creator, you know? And I feel like there is no point in time where you can say, I am a creator, because you're learning something every day. Saying if you know everything, you're dead. You wouldn't be there, you know?
Yeah. The second you stop learning is the second that you're dead. Because yeah, you're right. Maybe it's more of a life process than it is a singular, like, this is it. This is the moment I knew. It was more so like you continue to grow in that. It's like you grow up literally physically, right? And then we grow up mentally, right? So in our identities, maybe we continue to, it's like, that's why partially we grow into different parts of ourselves. As we become who we truly are, we try out different outfits almost, but eventually we come to who we really are. And that's the most important part, is like, are you who you really are? I know everybody says be yourself, but like nobody really ever tells you how. They just say be yourself. And sometimes it's kind of hard. I don't know. Man, can you hear that in the background? I'm about to go tell my roommate to go turn it down.
What's that?
Oh, you can't hear it? Okay, we good. Never mind.
I can't hear nothing.
All right.
Dream of reality, man.
Dream of reality. Dream of reality. Shoo.
And then just thinking about identity, looking at the people around you. Do you identify with them? Do you conform? I made a video a while back about the idea about conformity and just breaking it down. And as identity goes, and as I spoke to my teammates, I was just like, hey, we just started this program 3 years ago, literally. We just got into being on the NI, what was it called?
Yeah, I was in the you talking about the athletic conference?
Yeah, we just got admitted to the conference.
Yeah.
I forgot which one it was, but I'm just like, what do you guys want to do? What do you guys want to lead? What's the mark? How do you guys want to take this? And to say that, you know, we ended up winning the conference, ended up going to nationals. the first year. And so they're like looking at this program like, you guys literally came from nothing.
Come out of
And it's
nowhere.
like, why wouldn't we be able to as people? Our identity. Why can't we come from nothing if we identify who we are and what we're capable of do mentally? We connect with people likewise.
That's interesting too when people say you came out of nowhere, to me at least, because it's like, no, we didn't. We were here. Y'all just didn't see.
Hey, and what were we talking about? The seed, how you don't see it yet, but it's, you know, it's growing.
It's there.
And then boom, once it shoots forth, then you see like, oh, but no, it was growing before that. Like it already had it was already connected to what it was gonna do. So
it was growing them roots. It was getting deep. It was getting them nutrients, and it was getting ready to sprout. But a lot of people don't want to be a part of the story until they see the flower. They don't want to be there until they see the full bloom. It's like by then we already good. I already
then they be wanting to prove like, hey, come on.
I needed you back then during the process. Like you was over there doing your thing. And so I said, okay, I need to get deeper roots now then. Right. It's like everybody who dismissed you, in a sense, helped you become stronger. And they talk about how when a tree is growing, especially when it's by itself, it has to grow deeper roots. And it almost is like an oxymoron, because that tree will become stronger because in some sense it has to deal with all of the wind and all of the elements on its own. It doesn't have a group of trees around it that it can kind of, they all together. And so sometimes by ostracizing somebody, you actually set the table for that person to become a superhero in a way. That person is now, because in order to survive, as we were saying, just to survive, they had to dig deep into themselves. And now this leads to a new person who is able to say, this is the me I've become. And in some ways, I have to thank y'all for saying forget you, because now you've allowed me to realize just how dope I really am. Hold on one second. I'm going to tell this man to turn it down. Can you still not hear it, or can you? I can hear it loud and clear. You for real can't? All right, maybe it's just me. Let me put my other headphone on, man. Because I feel like this is one of them things, bro. Like when you talked about conformity. And I think that conformity can be such a dangerous thing. Ideally, you want to have a community of people who are all different, because then we can bounce ideas off each other. We can really understand that, oh, that's a different perspective, but I still respect that person, right? But when you have conformity, then everybody just has the same mindset. And it's like, okay, nothing new can come out of this. If we all are the same, then nothing new can come out of this. And I don't know if people really understand that. It's like, okay, you're around people who all agree with you. Cool. Now what?
Love rejection. It sees its connections unworthy of your time.
Man. So we talk about creator versus consumer. We talk about the labels that people try to put on you, but how ultimately it's really us who have to choose. And then it's really, at the end of the day, it's just us becoming the folks that we can be. It's like if we really elevate ourselves, not just mentally, but we like, mental health is the state of being healthy. Not just like, I want to expand the definition, because I think we think of mental health as like, oh, think of it in terms of the mental illnesses, and we say, oh, we just got to get off of the mental illness and you're mentally healthy. I don't think that's the case, because you can just be like in the middle, not really excelling, but maybe you're not like fully sick. But I want us to be in a position where we're thriving, where we're really becoming the best versions of ourselves, not just settling for what is given to us, but taking what is truly and rightfully ours. And part of that is being creative. Part of that is being able to formulate the world around us and not just saying, oh, this is the system, this is how it is, this is the machine, this is how it works. Let me just slide myself into it. Let me become a cog in the machine. Like, no. I like the name Rage Against the Machine. I always thought that was a cool band name because it's like this idea to continue to push yourself to not become ingrained in this idea of what everybody else is doing. And my personality is that even if sometimes, and this is can be a negative, but sometimes even if I agree with somebody, I'll still push against it sometimes just to kind of see where we at. Like I don't like just accepting, like when somebody agrees with me, I usually go, uh-oh, I might be wrong. like I'm one of them weird folks. It's like if too many people agree with me, I actually have to second guess myself. Like I like it when I'm on an island. I like it when nobody agrees with me because then I know that I'm actually thinking, I'm actually doing the thing and figuring it out what's real. When too many people agree with me, then I'm like, uh-oh, we in a crowd. There's a story in the Bible about Jesus when he was talking to the crowd and they were cheering for him and he was like, he was talking to them and they were cheering. And then it was like in the subtitles, you could not really read between the lines. It was in the text, but it was just interesting that it was in the Bible. It said, but Jesus knew how crowds were, something like that, to that effect. And essentially, like a couple chapters later, that same crowd was turning on him. The same crowd that was saying, yeah, Messiah, yeah, we're throwing down the leaves, throwing down their coats, saying, yeah, he came to save us. Not even a couple chapters later, they were saying, crucify him. Jesus knew the whole time, even when they were cheering, he knew. Like, y'all crazy, bro. Like, I can't trust crowds, man, because there's something in your brain that just shuts off when you in a big group, transforms you. You become, instead of an individual, you become a member of this big cohort, and you're no longer thinking critically. You're just a part of the thing. It feels like it's safe for them because they're like, oh, I'm with all these other people. But in reality, it's the most dangerous place to be. Crowd, what did mom always saying? Like, if everybody runs off the cliff, what are you going to do? I don't know. What you thinking about?
Blowing and sparking the perception of how I was just viewing certain aspects of the world. It's like that connection. And think about it as like tentacles to people's minds of how, it just creates that internet.
Yeah. Real.
And it's just things that I can't even share. It's just things that I experienced that just thankful for peace, thankful for presence, thankful for the prosperity. Just thankful enough to be able to wake up and say, there's a reason I need to keep going.
I'm here. We here. It ain't perfect. It ain't pristine. It ain't like y'all see it. It ain't pristine. None of this. We don't got the 4K. We ain't out here with the most beautiful presentation, but we real. And that's part of what your story
Connections
is.
breaking up, It's like, what do we identify with, though? What do we identify with?
What do you exactly?
What are we connected to? What keeps you moving? What keeps you grooving? What is the energy behind your entity?
Say that again.
The energy behind your entity.
Yeah.
And not to sound all scientific and metaphysical with it, but literally what moves you? Like what drives you? And it's like people identify with certain types of energies.
Mhm.
And do we take in that consideration of tone of speech just based off of what they say and how they say it?
Yeah.
And that feels like once you say that doesn't correlate to who they are as a person, that just takes off of what is a human then? Because shouldn't communication be a factor where when we speak, we should know how a person feels and know that what they're saying is, I mean, we do have a mouth and ears to hear and say that these things are
Yeah.
identity.
Identity. Identity. You said it too. We got a mouth to speak. We got ears to hear. There's a saying that we got twice as many ears as we do mouths because you're supposed to listen twice as much as we talk. And I think that's something I still got to learn, but I am learning it. It's one of those things too, where you when you when you allow yourself to be not in like not overwhelmed by the crowd, but immersed in it. Because there's a difference. It's like the difference between empathizing with a person and trying to be that person, right? It's like when you're immersed in it, you're observant. You're able to perceive the shifts in the energy and how people are moving and what people are saying. But when you overcome by it, you're nothing. You're just another cog. And I wonder if a lot of us think that we're being like in our popularity, we're actually being overcome by this crowd and we're losing who we truly are in the process. I don't know. All right. But yeah. I don't know, bro. It's craziness out here. I think folks are just too lazy sometimes to really become who they truly want to be. And it's easier just to be who other people say you're supposed to be. I don't know. I don't know if that resonates at all with you, if I'm just coming off.
Maybe that's what they identify as. And that's the topic today. You can't say that. Why would you want a fish to be something else other than a fish? And you know what I could say next. But birds fly. I expect birds to fly.
Mm-hmm. It's it's the world we in, bro. I know it. Some people out there probably know it, but it is what it is. I was going to talk about biologically our identity too, but I just didn't even want to touch that one because I just know that people are going to get their feelings hurt. So at the end of the day, I figured we could focus on the creator versus consumer aspect of it and let people figure out their own reality in that realm. But it is crazy, man. We are made in a specific way to do specific things, and some people are just trying to negate that. I think that probably has part to do with what the problems are we have today.
What are you consuming mentally? What are you paying attention to? What are your options to even view as a person of color that a man is a complete resemble of? What are your options in our community to say like, oh man, how do you do that? Or even to say your kids are influenced by this, whichever it is, playing basketball, making music,
right?
even from doing art, all of it, creating video games. These kids are choosing to view it and identify with these certain ideas. But it's like, it comes off of being what you said, a consumer versus creator. What do you identify with? What do we identify with right now?
What
Because
do we
all I
have?
see right now is Walmarts everywhere over here where I go. And it's like,
Yeah.
is this?
There was this quote I heard that was really crazy. Let finish up what you were saying though.
No, I was just saying, is this the area and the community I identify with? You know, it's just,
It's
they're
this
everywhere.
idea. It's like everybody is born an individual, but most end up as copies. And I wonder why that is. It's like everybody is born themselves, but the older we grow, it almost feels like the more you have to conform. And then people just become cogs in the wheel. Because when they're kids, you know, kids will yell out, they'll say whatever they want to, they'll be themselves. And but you start to see it as they get a little bit older and a little bit quote unquote wiser. They understand that they can't say things that they want to say. And they have to be a little bit more careful. And before you know it, they're self-censoring. They're putting the filter over themselves. And that affects how you see yourself. Because eventually you censor yourself enough, you become that thing that you've censored yourself towards. And I see a lot of people who have become versions of themselves, maybe, but not truly who they are. I don't know. Part of why I wanted to end on this topic is because it's kind of a heavy one, kind of a deep one, but it's supposed to be an uplifting one in some case, because at the end of the day, if you're not there yet, then that means you're still alive. You still got a chance to get there. None of us have made it. It's a journey, like you said. I didn't just say I'm a creator now. Like maybe some people do that, and that helps them to create this new identity. But for most people, it's just a little bit a day. It becomes a lot of bit a day. And then before you know it, people think you are a creator, right? Like Picasso, like 10,000 drawings or something like that. We only know maybe like 15 of them. We out here like, wow, this guy was prolific. He was great. Look at these. Little do you know that he was in his studio day in, day out, just making stuff. The cream rises to the top. Sometimes we too embarrassed, or we too scared to be embarrassed. We too scared to do something bad or wrong, so we don't do it at all. And we just playing ourselves. We can't be too scared to do the wrong thing, because everybody who ended up doing the right thing had to start by doing the wrong thing. They didn't just, it wasn't like MJ came out the womb just dunking on folks. Like, it was a lot of misses in that road to being the greatest ever. But a lot of us want to be the greatest ever without having any misses. We want to be 1,000 for 1,000, but that's not how it works. At all. Anyway, I feel like this is toward the end of what I had to say. I don't know if you have any other ideas with this, but really, I guess to tie it up in a bow, tie it up in a knot. What is your label? Who do you think you are? For me, it's more important to know who God thinks I am, but I don't want to be too theistic, because really it's not necessarily even who I am, it's whose I am. And understanding that I am in relation to God gives me more peace of mind and confidence. But say you don't believe in God, okay. Who are you then? Who is the person that's dictating your reality? Whose play are you in? What story are you a part of? I like to break down the word history into his story, because it makes me think like this is just all this big, it's like a big arc of this narrative that we're just a part of. But if you're not a part of history, okay, say you're doing your own thing. What part is that? What play are you, what part of this play are you doing? Like, are you able to to pursue the things that burn inside you, the things that make you feel alive, or are you just doing the things that you have to do because you have to do them? And I know there's a time and a place, right? We, as you said, sometimes we are fighting to survive, and so it's tough. But you got to keep that fire alive. You got to keep that flame alive. You can't let it go out, even if it's just a little flame. Keep it going, keep stoking it. Eventually it'll catch. And then when it does, and everybody can see it, that's when you can say, yeah, I was a little flame for a very long time, but look at me now. I was just a little seed for a very long time, but look at me now. I was just a little, caterpillar for a very long time, but look at me now. And it's understanding that this process is not something that happens overnight, but it's something that we can allow or we can disallow. It is something that we have agency over. We are able to control in some aspects how we are able to step into ourselves. But if we negate that process and we say, I'll just go with the flow. Flow is going right into the gutter. So you better get up out that mug. That's all I'll say on that.
Got a mouth to speak, got a brain to think, got hands to create. All of them are used to express yourself. All of them are used to connect with what you identify with. All I could do is share my experiences with you, bro, and to say that, I make the teas, you feel me? And, I just try to be an example of excellence, man.
Yeah.
So it's just creating artwork, just finding those times where I can think about what I could be. Everybody should be granted that space to not only view other options, but also, hey, be in a quiet room where everything's taken care of to say, I just had a thought of originality.
You just made me think of another quote. I be pulling these up all the time just because I like to read through quotes sometimes, but I am with this one. Let me see what it is. Here we go. It was by Oscar Wilde. And that dude was a great writer. I think he was one of the most gifted communicators of all time. Like he's just somebody who was able to distill these truths down into these just almost like sayings that just made sense. But he said this: most people are other people. Their thoughts are someone else's opinions. Their lives are a mimicry. Their passions are a quotation. And it's weird because obviously I'm quoting that, but for a lot of people, you take that quote, you put it on an Instagram caption, and then people think that you're the most wise person. Or you take that quote and you mimic it into the world, and people think that you truly have a depth to you and a passion-filled life. But all of it, like, words are just symbols. The reality is inside you. And if you can't tap into that true passion, then at the end of the day, you're just looking at symbols, hoping to feel something from a symbol, when in reality, you should be being inspired by real life. And I think that's the main goal. Be inspired by life and let that allow you to become who you truly are. But yeah, if y'all haven't already, make sure y'all subscribe. This was Mental Health Talks on identity. hopefully we'll run these back sometime in the future, but I think I'm going to be taking a little social media hiatus for the time being, tapping back into myself, trying to figure out what I really want to do. I think sometimes if I have ideas or a story or whatever inside me, it like burns me up and I can't rest until I get it all out. But I feel like I've gotten a lot of these ideas out, even if nobody's necessarily seen them or not everybody is vibing with them, at least they're out there. And so if you want to see them, you can go ahead and I'll link below the rest of the videos. It's in a little playlist so y'all can check them out. Yeah, like the videos, share them if you find any good little clips. Let me know if there's a part that really resonated with you, so I know that that's something that I need to maybe lean more into. But besides that, thank you for joining me on this journey, Willie. I appreciate you, my bro.
Man,
It's been a blessing. Every single one of these has been a blessing, especially to me, just if to no one else, to me, for sure. But yeah, you already know where to find us. All on the socials, Divine Liii, Time to Grow Dude. Go ahead and hit us up. Always love. Stay faithful. Stay divine. Stay great. And stay in love. We'll catch y'all on the next one.